Uh oh oh every week it gets me by surprise. I have no idea that we're on. welcome. As the rotor turns, we're back live, undisclosed location, still in the cave. Not that we're on the lam or running from the law, which Trish should be.
I should be
running from the law right now. And we're gonna start off with like we always do. This is my opinion, not the opinion of the rescue company one or anybody that houses us. Wonderful people of the College of Emergency Physicians, and not the opinion of anybody that's a guest today or at any time. It's basically my opinion, and if anything I say bothers you, well, you should turn this off. There you go. And by the way,
nicely played, mate.
Do not say that the wonderful, most handsome Jewish doctor of all told you to do it.
Because he didn't.
Because he didn't do that.
He didn't say it.
Yeah, so that's about it on disclaimers there. Hey, baby.
Hey.
I love you.
I love you.
They're very beautiful.
Well, thank you.
Let me tell you, Trish's boobs today have been outrageously on Google.
I know I honked it earlier.
Yeah, I know. We had a meeting earlier. that doctor, which I'm not gonna mention, we'll just say around with Ari. And like he didn't know what to do. You could see where he was staring at.
Really?
Oh yeah, a couple times.
Totally didn't even know.
Oh, it was awesome.
The eyes are up here.
Oh yeah.
Where? Here?
Yeah, here.
We saw your eyes,
Yeah.
and your hair, which I thought looked fabulous.
Well,
Between the hair and the glasses.
Yeah.
Oh, you have eyes?
Right there.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Birthday buddy's cleavage has been on point lately, so I have not had to write her up for any uniform situations.
Well, good.
So hey, birthday buddy.
Hi.
And then we have Scott and Lisa here today, visiting us to do a little bit.
Scott, Lisa in the morning.
and then Patricio is here, and let me tell you what a happy Patricio looks like.
I haven't seen him in like months.
I don't even know if this Mexican guy next to me is right now. But
Either.
do you feel safe, or do you need to use the word blueberry? Lenny? Are you safe
Blueberry?
right now?
How do we get blueberry?
That's a safe word, babe.
Oh, when did we find that out?
I don't know.
Like 17 episodes ago.
Yeah.
Should I write that down?
Yeah.
Probably. I didn't remember that.
So, hey, Patricia, like, how good are you feeling right now to people out there?
I'm feeling Tony the Tiger great. That's all I'm gonna say right there, because I'm still being monitored by the German connection in a
Well,
sense.
there are restraining orders.
Yeah, there's processes and what have yous.
Oh yeah, no, there totally is.
It's an evolving situation.
It really is.
But are you feeling like alligator shoe?
I am feeling limousine driving.
Airplane flying.
Told me if you're about to
do every day for jobs. We got
I
people
was trying to find 4 days in a row earlier. I got all the way to November.
We got people about to wear turbans.
We do.
Yeah, like we're sending people to Saudi Arabia.
Yep.
This is craziness. Sending Corey over there. He's got tiny hands. They don't even know what to do with him over there.
I feel like maybe he's been there before.
Oh, no, he's been there before. They may be a wanted poster for him over there.
Maybe.
That
That sounds about right.
They may cut his hands when he gets there.
They may pay us more for sending him.
Yeah.
Let's hope they don't do that.
Hey, baby, we got classes coming up.
Mm-hmm.
What you got for? We got a medical class,
End of April. I think we may have one or two spots left.
Yeah,
so if you want to get in that class, you better hurry up.
I don't think we could squeeze a fart in that class right now.
You got the difficult airway, the 25th and 26th, right?
Yep.
Okay, I still have that date saved on the button.
Yep, there's PHTLS and TNCC and AMLS that week.
All that week. Come get your stuff.
Come get your stuff. There's a paramedic refresher that is online, and you can call and schedule your skills.
Yep.
And then we're going to do another medic refresher.
Yeah, that's going to be with the EMLRC here.
With the EMLRC. Did
absolutely.
Figure out dates for that?
No, not yet.
Yeah, it's coming though. It's going to be summertime. So
and then there's the ALS competition here. The Bill Shear.
Let's talk about that. Bill Shear ALS BLS competition.
The 14th and 15th
of July. Yep. So basically,
birthday.
Yeah, I love you. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
I mean, I personally wish I was born on that day because you got like the most iconic ALS competition.
Yeah, I'm super excited.
World renowned. That's going to happen. I'm going to get you something nice. Don't you worry. It's going to be good. I've been, You got something coming.
Okay.
You know, absolutely.
Mhm.
Not like Carol Baskin coming to you. But it's gonna be good stuff. And then
She still
Well, good.
refuses to respond to my email.
I don't understand what that woman. Just give us an alibi.
I know.
Give us an alibi. We'll get to that here in a second. But anyways, like you have the most.
Oh, you know what? We did add another aeromedical class the end of June.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you can't do the end of April, we added another one the end of June.
Yeah, come to that one.
Yep.
So listen, this competition, Florida EMS teams are the best teams. And now, if you are hearing this somewhere else and you say bullshit, then you come down and you come compete.
Yeah.
Hell, you know what? If you think you can beat one of the Florida teams, go ahead and call your shot right now. I'm gonna pay for your entry fee. and now you come down and you come in. You know, like, listen, you got a shot. I'm not competing in this one,
Yep. No, you're not.
but I am helping out.
But who is competing in your place?
Oh man, I don't even want. I don't know if I can mention that Bill McGrath is coming out of retirement and competing at ClinCon at the Bill Shear competition. But the biggest thing is this is the most iconic ALS competition in the world. We had teams from like Sweden here in the past. I mean, this is the competition. The trophy's downstairs,
Yep.
named after the doctor
Who?
Eugene Nagel.
And isn't
My nagel.
You know, yeah.
isn't he going to be there later?
Well, we're
at the
hoping.
end of the competition.
We're hoping. Isn't it, you know, 90. Ooh, that's something that I kind of winning right
I
there.
think there's a blue ribbon.
Yeah, this is brought to you unofficially. Hey, they know in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So we want y'all here. So PBR right there. 18. What year's on your beer, man?
12 ounces.
1844.
1844.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know what you said. I know what you said. But the first thing that I looked at was 18. It was 12 ounces. So my bad.
Man, I tell you, in Mexico,
Oh my.
y'all invented math too over there. in Mexico. Allegedly.
Allegedly.
But I'm telling you, people come to this competition. This is going to be no sequestering.
Nope.
We're doing
We're going to do a luau.
yeah, at least 5 scenarios in the prelims. Like, I'm not even going to tell you what the second day is going to do, but you're going to get multiple days of scenarios. You're going to get some cool stuff here.
Yeah.
No sequestering, and we promise there will be no porn type scenarios this year. Like, yes, we did it. It's been done once. We're not going to do it again. It's not going to be unique. So, but
There
yeah,
won't be no porn distractors.
yes, absolutely.
Disclaimer
What am I going to
there.
do with all 50 of these fleshlights?
And lastly, but not NDOC coming up. We changed the date on that birthday, buddy. What you got?
We did July 21st.
July 21st. NDOC. So like we've got some people calling up. I said, get your swimming in, get your rucking, and this NDOC's gonna be the best one of the ones we've had. And like everybody's like really using that 18-hour time mark. I said, we're not promising you just 18 hours. I mean, I'm gonna tell you, it's probably gonna be longer than 18 hours. So
I think
definitely
I'm going to be on vacation that day.
yeah, listen, I want to be on
Same.
vacation that day too. So, you know, if you think you're a badass, come on out and you'll get a
I
job.
don't
Like
think I'm badass.
everybody that's made it through that NDOC.
I know I would die.
Work
This is the
here.
one thing. This is the one thing that they work here. But what do they? The last one just
They
got
also
hired.
have flight jobs.
Everybody has a helicopter job. Want to be a helicopter dude? Come on, a girl. We've got a couple.
Or boy.
We've got a
whatever.
couple.
Yeah.
yeah.
Trish, do me a favor. Like, jiggle it real quick.
Okay.
No.
The
Like the cable real
Yeah,
quick. Like,
cable.
do a quick jiggle.
Like a slight jiggle.
Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle.
Oh. Ooh.
Have to be very clear, my friend.
Yeah.
Amanda, do it real quick.
Jiggle?
Yeah.
I can hear myself. You can hear me?
I can hear.
I
Okay.
can even hear me touching it.
All right. Perfect.
She was touching.
What are you touching?
So real quick, so we get to our
It's a whole
guest.
other podcast.
Yes. So Amanda,
I feel like we're going back to the porn thing.
this
We're not
Oh.
doing that.
Can
this
we-
case, we have an update on this case.
Oh, listen.
Tell
So,
us about Bob Saget.
you know, there was a lawsuit, but there were still some pictures that we managed to get our hands
What?
on. Yes.
Do report, please.
And you know, they're trying to tell us that he bumped his head on the headboard.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, several times, at least 6 times.
The pictures clearly show a padded headboard,
Oh,
Ooh.
a very heavily padded headboard that doesn't just take up the bed, it takes up the entire wall that the bed is on.
Well, it's hard to get a skull fracture.
Patricio is an expert
On the
this
base
headboard.
of your
Yes.
skull.
Patricio.
Yeah,
How does that happen?
my cousins installed the headboards over at the at the famous Carlton right there.
And
Ritz Carlton, that's what it was. I forgot the name of it.
it's Amish sheep hair inside this thing. As I've been told, allegedly. This is an alleged
Yeah.
statement here. Like Amishly built. Them damn Amish can build a headboard,
Right.
Oh yeah,
but it's soft.
they live in a paradise.
Yeah.
So the whole room is carpet.
Oh,
There's
Even the bathroom.
No, but there's no damage.
But there
in
was
there.
no blood in the bathroom.
No, and none of the other hard surfaces in the room had
Had
damage.
any blood.
What I found particularly unique, other than the padded headboard, was for somebody who supposedly had such a bad head injury that crawled himself into bed, allegedly, is what
Yes.
they're telling us.
absolutely.
His nightstand was perfectly organized. His phone was plugged into the charger.
I'll be damned.
His
Well, I mean, I would
iPad
do
was
that.
plugged into the charger. His glasses were folded and properly placed.
So the scene was set.
Mm.
Do you know who's organized?
Not
Carol
me.
Baskin.
Hmm. And you know who
That
still
one,
hasn't answered?
Yeah, absolutely. I have been in this.
Listen,
Have you seen the
she
new
has-
Tiger King show? By the way,
it's been.
No.
Appreciate.
Yes, I have.
Oh,
I've seen first.
Have you seen Carol versus Joe?
I have not seen. I
That's
watched
it,
the
yeah.
first episode, and I wanted to feed myself to a tiger.
let me tell
Oh.
you something. You
I mean,
watch
I
all
feel
of them,
like-
and it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's mandatory now. Like,
She-
we're going to talk about that, so you need to watch it.
She has the tiger's interest at heart.
Oh yes, she plays violin for him and
Yeah,
everything.
like she
All
has.
right.
She has
Yeah.
people like the orchestra come in to play relaxing music.
And listen, I don't want the woman
I
to be
wanna
put in
go.
prison. I just want to know where she was the night where this happened to Bob Saget,
I would like to go to Big.
and I want her hands checked for like residue and shit.
That's-
You know,
It's not going to be there
yeah,
now.
yeah, well, we don't know that.
I mean, how do you know she doesn't have any Amish residue on her hands?
Yes, absolutely.
Right. Maybe she's gone back to the scene of the crime.
Anything else on that, baby?
Oh,
Birthday buddy.
Mm,
You know what I'm
no,
talking about.
wrong beat.
Yeah.
It was room 962. If anybody's going to go staying there
Oh.
anytime soon, it's my room.
Oh.
I wonder. I really am curious. Are
I'll
they
pay extra.
going
Are there any ghosts in
to?
there?
I don't know, but I'm
Can
really
we do a
curious. Are
seance?
they going to like rent it out now, or are they going to like close that room forever?
Is it going to be a national monument?
I
Yeah,
don't know.
I mean,
Can
it-
we do a seance?
do
Let's go.
if you fill up
Let's see if
every
we can
room
get
in
the
that
spirit of
if you fill up
Bob
every room
Saget.
on that floor, is it a full house?
Oh, he got jokes today.
Man, he's been
That was
waiting.
good.
for
That was
one.
good. That was
It's
good.
like, it's like waiting for that.
He'll be here a week. Tip your waitresses.
Oh my god! So, birthday buddy, it is our Women's History Month. Still,
It is.
yes. Do we have any interesting women?
Yes, you gave me an interesting woman.
I know. Yeah,
Hi, Trish.
I got it. What you got?
Nancy Carolyn.
Yes, we've talked about her before.
She is the author of the Emergency Care in the Streets book, which I learned today that for over a decade, her book was the only resource available for
Absolutely.
paramedics.
Absolutely.
Only one.
Yeah.
She was one of the first physicians to understand that non-physicians could perform emergency skills.
Boy, did we have a conversation about that?
We've had a few of those this
My
week.
goodness, Scott, you would go lose your mind when you would have been in this meeting. You know?
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We had a meeting where I'm not even gonna get into it. We'll get into it later. Go ahead.
Anyways,
Yeah.
um,
Offended. That's where I was.
something I find admirable about anybody that does this kind of stuff is that in order to truly understand what she was writing about, she took the time and she was out there. She was in the field. She was riding on ambulances. She was in the bad parts of town. You know, she helped with the Freedom House enterprises that we
Absolutely.
talked about a couple weeks
Yeah.
ago. And she was
Goosebumps.
out there. She wasn't just sitting behind a desk telling you what to do or telling you what you're doing wrong. And she has no idea.
Dr. Nancy Carolyn is a paramedic.
She is.
She's a paramedic, and like the credit needs to go out to her. Like that, she's the part of creating this profession. You know
Mhm.
that we have. So it's awesome, awesome.
So there was a good quote I found by, I'm sure I'm going to say this wrong, Dr. Safar.
Peter Saffer. Yeah.
Saffer. Okay.
You know whose couch that guy slept on?
Abos.
Abel's. Yeah.
One reason for Carolyn's great impact was the fact that she is a caring, dynamic, compassionate super doctor, a Renaissance woman, and an eloquent writer.
Yep.
She later served as a flying bush doctor in East Africa also. And
Cannot say that. God damn
Be
it,
good,
baby.
Carlos.
This is serious, baby.
I picked that one just for you.
Thank you.
She helped to teach them medical skills and worked to improve their nutrition and healthcare in orphanages in East Africa. She spent the majority of her time in Israel after she developed her paramedic program here. And she where'd it go? I lost it. She was the first medical director of the Megan David Adam organization, which is Israel's Red Cross.
Yep.
She was dual citizen of the United States and Israel, so she became a legal citizen when she went there. And she finished out her life there. She was a founder of a hospice organization in Israel and focused on cancer treatments and hospice. And she actually died of cancer in the hospice program that she founded
She was
at
young.
58 years old.
That's
Oh,
young.
Yeah.
She was very young.
I mean, that was convenient, but
Yeah.
You know, is that little Pittsburgh, Jersey area there, man, like all that EMS that came out of that and all the science that the Center for Emergency Medicine out there, you know, it's unbelievable. It's a great place. You know, who worked there besides Abba was Melissa. We got to have her come here one day.
Oh.
You know what I'm talking
The
about?
PA Melissa.
Yeah, Raleigh. What did Melissa?
forget what
What
it
our
was.
Melissa call it? She said like
Rally McNally.
Rally
Oh,
McNally.
yeah.
We got to bring her right here. So, baby, did you bring out a word today? You didn't even do that, did you?
Nope.
To be continued, like Jason's scenario.
Oh,
So we got some awesome guests here today.
We do.
You know, so we have Scott. Like I always say, DeBoer. Is it DeBoer, right?
DeBoer,
Yeah.
Perfect, sir.
Yep. See, I'm working on it all day today. Yep. You know? Scott and
sorry about that.
DeBoer. Well, we got first timers.
Oh, so the dinging is for first timer?
No. This is a thing. So, and you guys, tell people about yourselves, Scott.
Go for it.
Lisa, go for it.
He said Scott.
Oh,
So Scott and Lisa are both. Okay.
There we
Yes.
go.
Once upon a time.
I'm a Gemini. But, I'm relatively simple. I played flight nurse up in Chicago for the past 30 years. And then I know it's a great, I mean,
It's a
Patricia
beautiful
from
rat a
city.
couple
Chicago.
years ago, but happily a year ago we got smart and I finally listened to my first Smarter Half Lisa and we decided to relocate from Chicago down to here. So after playing flight for 30 years, took a couple years off, happily made it through cancer and chemo, and except for coding during my last round of chemo,
Oh, geez.
happily
Oh, my.
doing
Wow.
incredibly well. But happily, after playing flight and taking those couple years off, now I have the second coolest job I think I've ever had.
Yeah.
I just started working as a medic at Universal Studios,
That's awesome.
and it's just absolutely.
So I'll run into you
wicked
every now and
fun.
then. I work there for Horror Nights.
Oh no, that's actually why I wanted to work there. Is
Yeah,
because I wanted to
real.
go. I would fly down every year from.
Yeah.
My brother works for those that shall not be named across the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah. They have an infestation over there.
Right.
So every year I would fly down from Chicago and spend the weekend just to be able to go to Horror Nights and geek out, and it's just phenomenal. And then
Did you
when I
guys ever
learned that the
make it-
opportunity was there to work, I'm like,
Yeah.
you're gonna pay me to go to Horror Nights? I'm
This
like,
is the greatest thing.
You know,
They have no idea who they
inter-
have.
interview done. That's it. Nothing else needs to be known. I'll take the job. What are you gonna pay? I don't really worry
Doesn't
about
matter.
it. Yeah, you're just gonna.
He's getting paid in turkey legs and churros, and he's good to go.
You'd be happy.
Like, the money that I am going to save versus that double express pass RIP tour at
Yeah.
Universal.
Just carry your backpack through the line and be like, I'm just going in real quick. I'll be right back.
You know, I have spent years listening to Scott talking classes.
Yeah.
Like it's the greatest thing. Like I would go, like every conference we would go. Felix would go. You gonna go to that speech class again, man? And like we would go. You know, I would go and we sit there. And Dallas. Remember you did a class there in Dallas? You did like this difficult airway thing. I don't know if you remember this. Well, you told the story. It's a kid with a. So I remember that, and I was sitting there like, and you know, and then fast forward a few years, like I think it's been like 2018 or something like that. I was doing a class, up in like Fort Lauderdale area, and the lady that hired me for the class, he goes, "Hey, this guy called. He wanted your information. So is it okay if I give it to him? I'm like, who is it? He said, Scott, it's got some guy named Scott. I was like, Scott the boat wants to go. I said, man, you give him my number right now. And Scott's like, hey, you want to go eat? And I'm like, hell yeah. I'm like, it's like it's like Elvis calling me. Like Elvis wants to go sit and have food with me.
Oh my gosh, dude,
It
you
was,
rocked it.
It was awesome. We sat there like two dudes on a date.
It was a little embarrassing, but I couldn't figure out whether to swipe right or swipe left. It was a little awkward for the first couple hours, but
it was
after
so
that,
cool.
It got pleasantly better. So.
It was so cool, man. And just to sit there and talk to, you're truly an idol. I told Trish on the way back, I think I talked about you the whole ride back.
Sure.
And it's just it was a pleasure, man. And then the fact then you come out, and I think during COVID you guys came out and hung out at the house, and I got to meet Lisa for the first time, who was my sister from from another mother. And it's so cool, man. So like you guys been married how long?
It'll be 28 years in July.
Wow.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, you could have been paroled or retired by now. So we just birthday buddy.
How many years are y'all up to?
Oh,
Two. They just did two because your anniversary was on
St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah. We lived in sin for a long time. And then Trisha's dad told me I can't get free milk anymore. So I had to get married.
Good boy.
Yeah.
Oh, I know that saying. My grandfather used to say.
I was going to say, like, isn't it the other way around?
So how did you guys meet?
Well,
you better take this one.
I could take this one because both Scott and I started in EMS in the early 90s, and it was April 2nd of 1993. And I tell this story often because it still blows my mind.
You got an accident around that time.
Yeah. So it was that night I was covering the back half of a 24-hour shift for another medic, and first call of the night was for a teenage overdose. And so I jump in the ambulance, we go, we run the call, and the girl, she started taking a dump basically. And my partner's like, divert to a different hospital. So I'm going down, it's called Franklin and 45th in Munster, Indiana. If anybody knows that intersection, that is where my I think fate collided at that moment. So I'm driving. Yes, literally. So I'm calling on the radio, and a girl pulls in front of the ambulance, and I T-boned her. Worst accident in the history of our ambulance service, actually, at that point. And nobody died, but it was really bad. And so I got the ambulance. I had it up on two wheels, oddly, and somehow jerked it to come back. And so thank God nobody died, but my partner was thrown into an oxygen regulator. He's hemorrhaging. The girl in the cot. We had a mom in the back of the ambulance. It was a disaster. Plus I had the two patients in the car, and I was all alone. I was the only one who wasn't hurt. I was the only one wearing my seatbelt. And so I run to the back of the ambulance. My partner's holding bandage on his head. He's like, you go check the car. So I run over to the car, and there's two girls in there, and I see a shadow coming from this gas station, like walking over, sticks a head in the window, says, hey, I'm a flight nurse and I'll help. And so from that moment, we ran this call together. And that flight nurse, I remember, was my first encounter actually with a flight nurse, because I was I was only into EMS for a couple of years, and so calm. I remember thinking, oh, how is this person calm? And I like one time. And so we ran the call together, and then supervisors came. They're like, Lisa, you're out of here. They took me, boarded and collared me, and took me to the hospital because it was that bad.
Yeah.
Never knew who that flight nurse was. Never got to say thank you. On a first date, fast forward 6 months, I'm on a first date, and we're sitting there talking in Chicago. And I'm like, so where do you live? And my date says, do you know where Franklin and 45th is in Munster, Indiana? And I'm like, oh yes. Yeah. I'm thinking, oh, he must have seen the accident happen.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, kind of. So he goes, he starts describing the accident.
This sounds like an episode of You.
Well, I mean, like, he goes,
for 6 months, he was plotting and
plotting, waiting. Yeah, but no, he was
a stalker
or a bad stalker, right? He starts describing the accident, and I remember like chills literally going through my body. I'm like, oh God, it was you. He was the University of Chicago flight nurse that helped me on the worst night of my entire life.
Wow.
And of course, at that point you have to marry the person.
Yeah.
So so now it'll be 28 years we've
Best
been married.
first date ever.
Yes, but we still celebrate April 2nd as the anniversary of our pediatric education company.
Oh.
Because we always say if that moment had never happened, we probably would have never had the connection that we did.
You wanted to fly, right? You like that was the thing you wanted to do.
I did. I originally had planned at some point I was going to be a flight medic, and I instead of that, we ended up creating a company together and
Which
going
is
on
amazing.
almost 25 years, pediatrics, and so we've been teaching peds all over the world now for 25 years, and it's been pretty fantastic.
It's that University of Chicago helicopter thing.
Yeah.
I want to talk about that for a second.
Okay.
Because that's interesting. There's an opening scene to an awesome show, which I love. And
We've been on the show.
yeah. And so you were in ER, like, right?
Both of us.
Yeah. Yeah. So you guys are like taking off like
Yeah, so they were filming back when it was Meigs Field in Chicago, and there was like a crash. They staged right on the lakeshore that we both got to be in there, and so we got to hang out with George Clooney and Anthony Edwards, and who else was there? There was a whole.
so I remember this
but yeah,
episode.
it was cool.
So it's Goose.
Yes, Goose,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
So Anthony Edwards is like he ends up intubating in the helicopter, right?
Mhm.
And you see Scott just sitting back there. I love that episode. So I know that guy.
And at one point he goes, "Thanks a lot, Scott." Anthony Edwards said that.
Yeah.
And I don't know that he was supposed to say that on the show or not. He's like, "Thanks a lot, Scott."
Like, your face is awesome in that.
We spent 14 hours doing
Ugh.
that shot.
Yeah.
We
Wow.
would take off and land.
Yeah.
The pilots, as you know, can only do X number of hours.
Yeah.
So we literally started off when they started their duty day, and we'd take off, fly, shoot the shot. They're like, "Okay, go away." So we'd go hover a couple miles away. They're like, "Okay, we want you again," and we'd fly back. We do the shot again. They're like, "Go away," and we'd come back
Over.
for 14 hours. We would take off and land so I could open the door
You know,
until they got it the way that they
Understand.
wanted. So after 14 hours, it felt like Anthony and I were like BFFs at that moment.
and I'm gonna tie this back to Bob Saget here in a second. This is I love this. I'm positive that the other person in the helicopter, Stamos.
That was later for me.
Was it later? John Stamos. Yep.
He came on later as like one of the
Yeah.
docs in one of the
Yes.
later
Yep.
seasons and stuff.
Yep.
Both Lisa and I did the original, like the first couple of years.
Yeah.
Because I played nurse because they used our helicopter on the show for the first 7 or 8 years. They would come into town twice a year. And when they wanted to shoot the stuff that looked like Chicago, so
Yeah.
they'd go to dinner here and they'd go here and, they'd shoot all the Chicago stuff.
Yeah, the B-roll.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And we thought it was fun. I guess you could use it in a word, but for us, they shot it in July. And July
Yeah.
in Chicago is like,
Nice.
Beautiful.
but it's hot.
Yeah, yeah.
It's in the 90s, and
Yep.
it's hot. But they were supposed to film for our case. They were doing their Christmas special. Because one of the episodes that I was
July?
on, in July. So
Oh.
it was called. The
You've
Gift,
never heard of Christmas
Oh,
in
the
July?
gifts, that's right.
Well,
It was
yeah,
called
but it's
The
like
Gift.
hot.
and it was
and
all
now
about
you have
we
to
were
be in a
supposed to have
coat.
this heart transplant for this little kid, and they
Yeah.
didn't ask for consent, and it was this whole big story. But either way, that was my whole role. Was I had to be in the helicopter and I had to hold the cooler and open the door and hand the cooler over. But we shot it in June or July, but they had to make it look like it was Christmas. So they had us in long sleeve flight suits with
Oh, my
coats,
goodness.
hats, and they had literally bags of ice dumped on top of the helipad so they could try to make it look like some sort of snow and ice.
Oh my gosh.
It was just,
How long did they last? The bags of
Nice.
ice.
oh
Or
my
like-
gosh. No, they just perpetually kept.
Yeah.
But it worked out really well because we got to, I thought it was kind of fun. All the nurses got to, our flight crew was nurse doc, so we were kind of weird. But all the nurses got to be on the show, and they just simply, whenever they would come into town, we just literally had a helmet and they just put everybody's name in it.
Yeah.
And they're like, if you haven't been on the show yet, they would just pull out your name and say, okay,
That's so
you're
cool.
now the next one to go.
Yeah.
But Lisa got to come play, and you got to have
Because
the
I was
honor-
working as a dispatcher for UCAN at the
Yeah.
time. And so I had a flight suit. So I just snuck right in the show. But I wasn't supposed to do anything. I was just like standing in the background, just watching. And I got to take pictures because you weren't allowed to take, any pictures on the set. But it was kind of fun because I wasn't technically one of them. I wasn't an extra. So I
Yeah.
just got to do that. But at one point they needed additional people. And they're like, they asked me a couple of times. I'm like, no, I'm not supposed to do anything. They're like, no, for real. We really need an extra. And so I got paid to be on ER. And I almost wished I wouldn't have cashed that check just because it was kind of cool because he didn't get paid to be
like
there.
$54
It was like $154 for all day, but man, and they just have you do the same thing over and over and over. I'm like, I don't know how people do that.
Is awesome.
Like, but it was fun to be on the set and get to do all that stuff. But
it's crazy, like how small this world is, stuff. And it's just you're there and like, man, it's like you're the dude on the show, like the opening scene. That's awesome. No, man, that's it. And like, how'd you get to fly? Like, you just, how long did it? So everybody always.
I was probably like most people. I mean, I literally knew from the first time I was working. I did big people ICU, and then I learned I didn't like taking care of people that long. Admittedly, like most flight crew, I have the attention span of a doorknob.
Yes.
And admittedly, I mean, Trish, you know how it is. I liked people when they were really, really sick. When they had lots of tubes, lots of wires and things for me to play with. I was very happy.
Yeah. And most of your friends are Filipino.
If you could not speak Tagalog, it was not going to happen. I'm sorry. This is a big dollar.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, all right, I liked ICU, but I only liked them when they were really sick. And then I learned I just don't like taking care of them after that. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go to the ER. I'm like, okay, that's better because I only have them for a couple hours. And I'm like, no, that's too long. So then I went to flight finally. And I'm like, okay, that is my absolute niche. They're all sick and I have them for short periods of time.
Yeah, in and out.
And I'm very happy.
Yes.
But I was like many people. I knew from the very first time the flight crew picked somebody up, this is what absolutely unquestionably, this is what I want to do. Because I'll never forget, I'm in the ER. And we had this little 6-month-old kid who came in status epilepticus, seizing little buns off. And it's the first time I had ever given Valium and a TB syringe.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it was an absolute, I mean, I was just useless at this moment. And it was one of those, I look back and I'm like, everything I could have done wrong, I know I did. I think the endotracheal tube was in his left foot. The IV was in the other patient. I don't even know. It was just like, literally, I could not have like screwed up more.
Yeah.
Admittedly, it's like happily things have gotten a little better, but at that point, I mean, there was no way around it, and I'll never forget. I'm just freaking, and the flight crew showed up, and they were just that commercial for "Never Let Them See You Sweat" for that old antiperspirant, deodorant.
Yep.
That was them. I mean, they just walked in. I'm like, "That's okay. Here, we'll put the tube in the right hole. Yeah, okay, we'll do this." And they were just so unbelievably calm, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is unquestionably what I want to do as a career. So then I just became fanboy. And I literally was so geeky, I would have 2 flight pins from the flight program on my scrubs and have those stickers on my badge. It was embarrassing.
Man. It's awesome. It's awesome. But what was that first day like? First day you got there, like you're actually in the job.
Okay, so check this out. This is one of those humbling like experiences. So I wanted to fly. So like many people, getting your first flight job is difficult.
Oh yeah.
Once you've got experience, it's like many things. Then it's a whole lot easier because you've got the experience. But getting your first job's tough. So I applied initially at 33 different programs around the country because it was before I'd met Lisa. So I was young, single, and didn't have any kids. So I'm like, I'll take off. I don't care. So I applied at 33 different places. I got interviews at 3 and I got a job at 1. So on a Friday afternoon, I went down to beautiful Peoria, Illinois, like 3 hours south of Chicago. I'd never been there in my entire life. I went down on a Friday for the interview. They offered me the job and I started on Monday. So over the weekend, I'd never been there. I found an apartment, moved everything, and started flying. But my very first flight shift, I'll never forget. I'm so excited. I can't stand it. I mean, I'm wearing the flight suit. I mean, it's just like this. I am like the smack daddy. Yeah. At that moment, it could not get much.
You're waiting for somebody to take it off.
Oh my gosh. God. It was just like walking down the hallway, people taking the rose petals, going down the hallway. It was just, I thought I could not get any better than this. So God bless America. There was happily 2 other real flight nurses on the call who were, my preceptors.
Because you don't know shit.
I know less than beyond nothing at that moment. And we flew to this little hospital somewhere to pick up this pregnant woman who was on the heavier side. Is probably the most polite way. Enough that the pilots, had
she's
to
a big
do,
girl.
Like she was, They had to do like double check and weight and balance type.
We always say this on the show though. What can a skinny woman do for me?
Not a goddamn
thing.
But either way, so we looked, and I'm like, that's just
How many times are we gonna break Scott today?
that's just like funny right there. But either way, the pilots looked, and they're like, all right, they see the patient, and she was too far along. The real flight nurses, were like, I'm sorry, we're not taking her. And the hospital's like, what do you mean? You got to take her. And they're like, no, we're not taking her. She's too far along. So then the OB doc said, that's okay. I'll fly with her.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
That's
so
cool.
the patient was on the heavier side, but the doc was even bigger.
Oh, that's a lot of fuel.
That was the problem. We had too much fuel and it just wasn't going to happen. So the flight nurse looked over and she's like, I'm sorry. This is my very first call. She's like, we're going to have to leave you. And I just thought they were joking, pick on the new guy type thing. And she's like, no, seriously, we can't lift off with this. You got to go just have a seat in the waiting room and we'll get a taxi to take you back in a couple hours. So they took the patient and I'm sitting in the waiting room for 4 hours waiting to get back in my flight suit, like ready to break out into, here I go from like the highest moment of my life of, oh my gosh, I finally have my life on goal. I'm sitting in the waiting room just twiddling my thumbs like, hi.
I was cool 4 hours ago.
Exactly. The real flight crew took off.
Did you ever do like a ride along or anything before your first day or anything like that?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, I did ride alongs for a couple different programs, which definitively confirmed we used to say for flight, it was the coolest job you could ever have with your clothes on.
Yes, absolutely.
It was, but I mean, from flying interest, from transport and flying, it's just an amazing job. It was just absolutely something I'd always wanted to do. And for 25 years, it just made an absolutely great experience. It was fabulous.
It's a true joy, man. I always tell people I never flew in a helicopter till my first day on the job.
Seriously.
It's the first time I ever got in one because
did they leave you?
I'm a medium husky type guy.
They leave you behind?
Well, they tell you that first day in orientation, they go, hey man, we're gonna be tight on fuel today. Because you're a big dude. So, and then I go, which is the good, call you fat. And then but the first call we go on, they go like, hey, this space is like 80 kilos. They go, hey, you're going to be probably staying on the scene. And I'm like, all right, but we get there and the dude was like, amputated leg.
Perfect.
Yeah. So like,
he's not 60 kilos.
Yeah. He was 80 kilos.
Like, done.
And he doesn't have a leg to stand on.
He had one left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's a man with 2 arms and 1 leg standing by a door.
What do you? What a doorstop?
Lean? Is that what you said?
Yes, that's not right there. Oh my god! So it's up, man. And at least you as EMS. So like after the accident, did you go back? Or?
Oh man, no. After that accident, I wanted nothing to do with EMS. Well, I went back to my parents' house and I sat in the window like for days, just like, because nobody ever gets into EMS and thinks that something bad is going to happen to you.
While you're
And
driving.
of course now they've got all of the sensors and all of the things to protect us. It at least does a better job, because I think back then people just see flashing light and say, "Well, I think I should pull in front of you."
I don't
Like
they still think that.
They do think that they should pull in front of you.
It's my worst. It's my worst fear.
Yeah.
One of my foster parents, and that's just Trish. You just worked with his daughter-in-law the other day.
Yep.
Chief Stilt, and he will always tell this story. He got into they T-boned a couple.
Well, even Timmy was in an
Yeah.
ambulance, like T-boned.
Yeah, and they T-boned a couple, and they both died. Like, so they're the people, like, not only did they cause the accident, but then they're rendering care to it.
Oh my gosh!
And it changed his life, like the way he would drive the cars, the way he would drive cars. And he's a guy that loves fast cars. Like he on the days off, even his son does.
Yep.
Still. And like, and it's just, it changed his life. And for me, that was always a fear, like of driving. And, wasn't a couple accidents, driving, and I hated it. I hate driving emergency. Yeah. It's one of those things. And like, John Lukowitz, which is we have an award, the highest award named in the city of Orlando for heroism, was named after John Lukowitz, who died in an accident in like early 60s, something like that. So it's one of the most dangerous things we do.
Oh, absolutely. And people don't even realize that. Yeah. I mean, how many different things that we do in EMS that literally puts us in danger.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that you and I had talked about before. And then they pay the garbage man more than they pay the EMS workers.
Absolutely.
Like that doesn't even make any sense. You know,
it used to make me crazy to ride in the front seat of the ambulance.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't.
Yeah.
Not watch.
Well, it's because people do stupid things in front of you that you're like,
it is horrible.
Yeah, their brain just like shuts off for some reason when you're driving. But yeah,
usually, you know, drive with due regard. When you take those like EVOC classes and stuff, when we teach that here, it says it in that presentation probably like 50 times.
Right.
Drive with due regard. You know, because you're always just defensively driving against a person that's not seeing you. Yeah. You know, so it's insane. It's like you know, but you guys have made a big difference in people in EMS.
Thank you.
And like just medicine in general. You know, like the Peds Are Us days. I want to bring that up for a second.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, that was for 15 years. Our company was called Peds Are Us Medical Education. Yeah, and it wasn't until 15 years later, Toys R Us decided that they needed to shut us down because we were infringing upon the trademark. Oh yeah, that was for real. Before we
you don't mess with Jeffrey the giraffe.
You do not.
I mean, where is he right now?
Yeah,
well, that's important.
That is important.
We got a cease and desist letter
they wanted to shut
the
all
attorney
that stuff down. Yeah,
from the law firm of Dewey, Cheatham and Howe. It was,
oh my God.
It was one of those FedEx priority first open, envelopes. So you open it up and they're like, just so you know, you've infringed on our trademark. And just in case you were curious, here's the other 15 companies.
That
essentially anything are us.
They own that whole trademark that are us. But when you're first starting out a business, you don't even know. Well,
that's the key.
Yes.
So there's a lady that has that name now. So I looked it up today.
Carol Baskin?
It's a physician. it's a pediatrician. She has a Peds Are Us name. I was like, so I go, that is crazy. Yeah. Look it up. I don't know if you've seen that or not.
No.
So today I was.
Maybe you should contact that law firm.
Yeah. So like I remember today I was looking up. I go, man, I wonder if I could find the old logo or anything.
Okay, yeah.
And then I see this lady. I'm like, man, she's got a Facebook and everything on there. I'm like, Peds Are Us. I'm like, man, I'm gonna have Lisa call them.
Right. Now I will. Maybe because Toys R Us went under or something that they ended up.
They don't exist, but you still do.
I'm like, well, it was the, do you understand and I'm sending a letter to them saying, do you understand that our whole mission is to save your primary demographic that will buy your things? But no, that didn't seem to make any difference. But it is mess with the trademark.
It is amazing the solution that you guys were to EMS in that big problem. And I still think to this day that like you guys don't get enough recognition for that. Because 1996, this state's in a problem with pediatric and EMS, and they create the EMSC whole thing, which you guys were the solution to their problem. Because you guys were brought into the state at that time, and you basically taught all of us how to treat kids.
Yeah, it's been a long time. Yeah,
right. You guys remember that?
That was ages ago. But I mean, it was, and it still continues to be an ongoing problem, obviously, with pediatric education that we're all trying to make a difference. But we just saw a problem and said, well, how can we make a difference? And what little part can we play? We never thought we were going to change the world or do something, like we talk about Dr. Broslow. I don't think he never thought I was going to change the world. He just saw a problem. And my God, people are, even me as an ER doc, I'm terrified, when kids come in, back in the early 80s, and what can I do to make a difference? And I got to go to Dr. Broslow's house not that long ago with Scott, and I got to see some of his initial, like almost you call it like the cocktail napkin drawings, the ideas. Some people think that you have to have this like fantastic prototype and all this stuff. It was just a little idea, and then his wife took that idea and she got a piece of leather and a long strap, and she colored it, and she's that was how an idea started for the Broslow tape. And so I don't think anybody really thinks, oh, I'm out to change the world. We just wanted to solve a problem, and it was to take some of the just some of the fear out of caring for critical kids, because that's part of how we screw up stuff. We talk about people do stupid things in front of, when you see lights and sirens, people do stupid things when their brain doesn't work, when it comes to kids. And so,
I don't know what you're talking about.
well,
So you guys going back to like you really hung out at Dr. Brazo's house?
yeah, we
Oh
that
my
was
God.
yeah, his wife cooked us dinner. It was fantastic. He's still doing all kinds of stuff and trying to,
How much ply toilet paper?
2 ply.
Okay, that's a standard.
so,
Did you already talk about the PD wheel?
It's really
No,
been neat though, just to be able to go. I mean, we asked, like the Battle of Broslo versus
And
Hantavi.
Tabby. Oh, man.
yeah,
Honestly, it's like whatever analogy you want to use. We've had beer with Broslo and
appetizers.
appetizers
and
with Hantavi. It's like
we like them
we
both.
hung out with
Both
Yeah.
of those
of them.
are great names for podcasts, like Beer with Broslo and Appetizers.
Like
Genuinely nice
Yeah.
people, but I tell them both repeatedly whenever I see them, either socially or at a conference, I'm like, you guys desperately need to go have a PBR together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beer,
Desperately.
go hang out.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's almost like, again, on the Catholic side, if you had like a papal conclave. So remember
Yes.
when
Yeah.
they elect the new pope and they
Yeah.
lock the doors and you're
Yeah.
not getting out,
just
You know, it's
everybody gets along.
like Thunderdome, 2
Yeah.
minutes for one minute. Right? Same idea. They
Yeah.
need to put them both in a room
Yeah.
and not let them come out until they can get along and come up with something, because Peter will say this and Jim will say this, and it just makes life. They
Well, I
both
feel
have
like
really
you-
good systems.
you
It's just
married
too
them.
challenging.
Yeah.
It's like,
You ever seen them both in the
on.
same room?
See what?
You ever seen them both in the same room?
never.
No.
Oh, Call
Like-
of Eagles.
Michael Jackson and LaToya Jackson, you
Call-
don't see them in the
Oh.
same room.
Call of Eagles. You see
Uh-huh.
one, and then you see the other one, and you're like I've seen it like
Were they really in the
Twice.
same room together?
that is the same. It's a big giant room, but
Yeah.
they're both in the same. And I was like tapping the other dude. I'm like, dude,
Dude!
look at that right there. And I'm like, look, not a wall.
Carlos, you scared the shit out of me.
I'm like, build a bridge, not a wall.
Build a bridge, right.
Let's see.
Wow.
Yeah, but it was.
Oh, that would be totally
I don't
cool.
think they either acknowledge each other. Nothing. It's just whoosh,
You guys did a great job at marrying the two.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. We love the PD wheel.
We love the PD wheel.
Yeah, we
Love it, love it, love it.
we like every class. I got to check people's pockets, make sure they don't take them with them.
Oh, I know, right? They walk
Yeah.
away all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we were thinking about getting those, like when we displays and stuff like at the bank.
Yeah.
Like the
little pen
tiles.
holders, so they can't get away with them.
Yeah, it's a
Chain on the wallet
Yeah,
that goes through
Yep.
the jeans, that really big one that goes back to the back pocket.
they with the colors, everything matches up, right? Like
Yes.
so I think it's like the best bridge between both
Yeah.
of them. Like the between Broslo and Tebby, and it has this all. I love it. It's one of those things that
I keep it with me all the time.
It's just so easy, and
I know.
and that it works with both, and it's
Yeah.
those first few minutes that you really need that information. But for 15 years,
Mhm.
there was a company, it was called EMS Advantage, that they actually created the original PD wheel, and they contacted Scott, and so for years he just helped them out, just like, here, you need to change this, and
We
dude, you
just
know
stuff like
that's
that all the time.
wrong, and
Yeah.
like, hey, you got to fix this. And so for years we just did that, and then what was it, two years ago, that they were thinking about like just dissolving the company. We're like, hey, I have been wanting to change this for 10 years, like to get those colors,
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
match the Broslo system on that
Yep.
PD wheel. But they could, for whatever reason, they couldn't do it. I'm like, perhaps we could take this over for you if you don't want it anymore. So we acquired their company. And so we own that EMS Advantage and the PD wheel now, the rights to it. And so then we changed it. And so we took Broslo and Tevi, we did all of the, and put it all together and married it into that one little cheap wheel you throw in your pocket. And so
It's amazing.
There's no batteries, there's no Wi-Fi.
right.
yeah.
It fits in your pocket. And again, we don't work for Broslo. We don't work for, Peter and Tabby. We absolutely genuinely always been simple. I don't care what you use.
Yes.
Yeah, just do it right.
Just do it right. That's exactly
Yeah.
it. We say in our courses and stuff, it's simply, you've got toys. You just
Yeah.
need to know how to play with
Play
your
with
toys.
them.
Peripheral brains.
And if you know how to work with it, then it's great. But under stress, why think? It's stupid. You're not in high school.
You know,
Why do mental math? Why? There's no reason. It's already sitting in front of you. Just
Just look
Here.
at it.
Look at it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it says give
Just
this
look at
much. Oh, good.
Yeah.
I give this much.
Yeah.
It's flight
Yeah.
risk proof. It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Absolutely.
It works out well.
Absolutely. And you know, like you guys, and then like, God, I swear to God, I was going to remember her name, but you'll probably remember when I say it. You got between you guys in the peds world, and then this lady in the OB world, you guys solved the problem.
Oh, Terry Campbell.
Yeah,
Oh,
the
yeah,
OB
love
staff.
Terry.
She's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah,
She is
Awesome.
fantastic.
like that woman is probably like she has got more people through the FPC by just teaching them how to read. You know, and she goes like we were OB
Yeah.
strip reading stuff. You know, like,
Fantastic.
and she created a little flip book.
Mhm.
Those are two things I have in my flight suit. That PD wheel and that flip book. And like, if it's a pregnant lady, I look at the flip book thing. I go, yeah, the book says I shouldn't take her. Yeah, right here.
Yeah.
So, you know, but she's amazing.
Yeah.
What an expert.
She
you know?
flew with Scott for years.
Yeah.
At the University of Chicago. I think she's still there, isn't she?
Uh-huh.
She still works at.
She's an
UCAN.
amazingly gifted. She was like an OB nurse in
presenter.
her previous
We-
life.
all
And then
of
We have a message coming from the comments. Are any of the kids who served as the models for the paper patient in your scenarios and seconds working in EMS today?
What?
Oh,
How do
man.
they even know
Interesting.
that? How,
Oh, man. I'm gonna tell you, we got some fans out there.
What the?
There's only like 5 of them, but
But they're dedicated.
we appreciate that.
Yeah.
Okay, so okay, so they're talking about our scenarios and seconds program.
Absolutely.
Yep.
That it
It's
we
amazing.
created- thank
We
you.
love it.
We use it.
We
at the
use
rest of
it
the company
every
one.
class.
Yeah.
But we just again the whole idea. Yes, thank you. We just wanted to make something easy that people could practice more often because we know with repetition comes the skill. I mean, you
Yeah.
just got to
Muscle
keep
memory.
doing it. Exactly. And so we created these different sizes of kids because I can't.
Kids are different
Kids
sizes.
are all different sizes. In the Braslo tape,
What?
there's I know, so crazy. So on the Braslo tape, there's 9 colors. So when Scott was going through chemo treatment, I had been throwing for years from our classes. I was throwing all these ideas into a box, like for the. I mean, ultimately, what came into be scenarios in seconds. But when he got sick, he's sitting on a couch. I'm like, he needed something to do because his brain was just that was not a good time in life. So I took all these ideas and I dumped them all over the floor. And I said, here's what I've got. We should turn this into something. And so we started building all the ideas and putting it together and created scenarios in seconds. Well, the kids that we used for scenarios in seconds, they range from newborn all the way to, at that point, I think he was
10.
Mason, like 10. Yeah. And so, so they're all still relatively young. So none of them, to
The
answer
oldest
that.
is now 14.
Yes. Okay. So Mason just turned 14. So none of them are in EMS, but some of the pictures, our daughter actually is about to go into EMS. She was doing culinary, but Nina, our daughter, helped us take some of the pictures. And so she is about to go to EMT school this summer because she helps us create what we call our Give Me 5 videos that are
Yeah.
just our little short,
They're
quick
awesome.
videos. So
Awesome.
We love
yeah,
those.
just like super short for people who don't have time, just want to something new.
You can find them on Facebook.
You can find
Just
And they're free.
and they're
absolutely, they're free.
We got them on YouTube. Yeah, we put them up there. But in our system, we took so along with those Manny kids, we call them Manny
Yep.
kids. Message in because when you actually create an idea, you get
Yeah.
to name it.
Yeah.
So we're like, a Manny kid.
Yeah.
So so
Like the Braslo tape.
like
the
An
Braslo
original
tape.
name.
Yes, like an original name.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we give them, so we call those Manny kids. And then so all of those together make the part of that system, the scenarios in seconds. And that was so popular. We part 2. And then you were asking about pals in seconds, because that's our newest one that we just released a couple of months ago. And,
I'm super excited about
so
that.
I'm so sorry I forgot to bring it. But when you guys come over,
Yeah.
we will show it to you.
So we
guys.
go to their house and do stuff like
Yeah.
look at EMS things.
Right. Yes, we have a
Yes.
whole garage filled with EMS things
Yeah.
for you to look at.
What are you talking about? We don't have that at all.
Right? Yeah. No.
We've also got the two big
Two-car
deep
garage that is
freezers.
And the
only EMS stuff.
Yeah.
The deep freezers are filled with not chicken
Bodies?
nuggets.
Oh, I know.
So-
Yours are filled with bodies.
Yeah.
Ours are
We
filled with.
have bodies.
Allegedly.
We have big
Allegedly.
parts, so we understand.
Right. Yeah, yes, that we're totally kidding.
Yeah,
now.
allegedly.
Trisha's not.
Allegedly. We
We're not
allegedly have
kidding
that.
Yeah, I told you that was one thing when you go to buy a deep freezer that you're never ever supposed to say, no,
Oh.
I need something bigger, like for a body,
Yes.
like that big.
Right.
That's
No,
the
no,
wrong.
I'm not
You
allowed-
don't
I'm
ever.
not allowed
The
to do
best,
that.
the best quote I've ever heard in my whole entire life is that me and my son we're at a Chick-fil-A, and there's this guy with a giant cowboy hat in front of us, big giant buckle, and he orders like a 20-piece chicken nugget, and he goes, "Now I want some of that Polynesian sauce, and I want enough to dip a giant man in it."
Is this for Jackass or something?
What was it? We're just. No, you're.
I go, this dude is this is the greatest quote I've ever heard. I want that guy's sauce. That's size sauce right there. You know,
Never getting enough sauce.
you know, Scott. Like the best thing
Wow.
about me and you is the ladies we marry. You know, like the ladies we marry, like the best things about us. You know, like they're the ones that are gonna carry. That's what Lisa's in my will.
1,000%.
Yeah, Lisa's in my will. She's gonna make sure my vision carries on. Because I remember like first time we meet you guys at the house, and like me and Lisa sat there and talked forever. Like wanted this idea about this just the way people are trained.
Yeah.
Are not trained for real.
Yeah.
You know, in the world, I promise we weren't going to get into this, but I just want to say that the world of accreditation does not understand what real training. They don't understand it. They don't
We do
understand.
Montessori and accreditation,
You know, baby, I told you that was a great idea. You brought that up a few weeks ago. You know,
but
like,
not on the podcast.
like teaching, seeing somebody teach. Let me tell you something. This is the one thing I do. I do tell you this. We started this company. We never hired an expert. You know, Robbie Tester came along, and the dude's just amazing
He is.
at everything he does. And like, you know, so we'll say we had one expert when we started this company, which was Rob. and like, but all the people that work here were people that were students. So they saw one, we taught them one, they did one, they teach it now.
Yep.
And now these are the best people out there flying in the industry. Like I will, you know, we put our stamp by them. We have a couple degenerates out there, but they're good.
We love
They
them.
know
Yeah.
what they're doing. They don't
Yeah.
tell anybody.
And like, yeah.
Yeah.
So Trish goes, that's how the Montessori system is. And I said, you know, but I never even thought about it. Like that's a great idea, right? You see one, you do one, you teach one.
Yeah.
Sure.
The world of accreditation will support that.
It should.
Like you look at the standard, this EMS educator 1, EMS educator 2, and like what it takes to teach a nurse now and all that stuff. And it's like that all that education does not translate to great patient care.
Nope.
You know, does not translate to great patient care.
But you know what? I think a master's degree does.
Hey, baby, you know that's not true. So, you know,
Hey,
so
I've got a master's.
yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
I know.
But-
those are fighting words.
Yeah. Value in education. There's a value in education. There's a value of going to college and getting that degree and doing that stuff. And it just helps you present the problem. Yes, sir.
We have a comment coming in from the live chat. Lisa and Scott, watching what is happening in Ukraine and need for paramedic trauma
Pediatric.
pediatric trauma training there beyond. What can they handle? What would
Can I
you
read it?
ever? Yeah, go ahead. The
Lisa
drink.
and Scott, watching what is happening in Ukraine and the need for pediatric trauma training there beyond what they can handle, would you ever take your program international so other countries are better prepared for caring for kids in mass incidents?
I feel like you have.
Yes.
And
Interestingly, we just literally, I mean, it's
Netherlands,
great
yeah.
time. I mean,
Yeah.
I wish I could have paid for this, but it's completely true. No, seriously, we met somebody from the Netherlands at EMS Expo 2 years ago.
Uh-huh.
And the only reason I remember that was because he came over and I evidently have Dutch heritage in my background. And he saw his last
Devore,
name
he
and
would
he's
know.
like, "Oh, you're Dutch?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he was, from there. So we just started just, BSing from there. But he literally emailed us last week and he wanted to see if we could take our scenarios in second system and send it over to the Netherlands. And if they can translate it so that way they could go ahead and use it, for their EMS system
That's
in
awesome.
the Netherlands. It's like, dude, are you kidding? Of course. This
Yeah.
is so cool. If you can translate it,
Right.
we gladly said, like, that would be wicked cool.
Yeah.
You know, one of the craziest thing, one of the days I was sitting in the office and we had this person needed some EPC stuff, like emergency pediatric, the NA class, and they're like, hey man, you got the things. So they came over and then I opened up the drug box thing that we have from the scenarios in seconds.
Oh,
And
yeah.
they're like, they're like, oh my God, like, so everything you need to actually teach, like it's hands-on.
Yeah.
Right. So the three-way stopcock is in there.
Right.
Like people do not understand how underutilized that tool is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and you show them how to put the medicine together. They want to do all kinds of stick needles and other stuff.
Right.
And it's like, I'm like,
Yeah.
look, just put it together like you're supposed to.
Yeah.
And then use this thing.
And then they have this moment of,
oh my God.
what?
Why
Why does
don't I
nobody
have
ever
one
show
of
me this
those?
before?
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Yeah.
And that's the whole idea behind the system, is that it's hands-on, it's visual, it's for all the different kinds of learners. And, for myself growing up, I was always a hands-on learner. Show me how I can, take something apart, put it back together. That's how I learn. And Scott is the opposite. Scott is you show me a book, I'll read it.
Oh,
I
no,
got
not
it.
me.
I know. And so I do
I'm
that,
more
my
like you.
eyes roll in my head. But
I'm like,
when
I
you take,
I don't know what I just read.
when you exactly, but you take the two together, and that's the part. For years I was so, like, I don't say envious, but I was in awe of Scott's brain.
Yeah.
And I hated mine because I didn't learn the way he did. But then I realized other people learn differently, and
Yeah.
that's where we not only got married, but we married the ideas of our learning style together to create something that works for everybody.
There's
Yeah.
far more out there. I mean, the longer we do this, I think there's far more people out there that truly don't, quote, learn the way
that everybody
that
else.
everybody else.
Absolutely.
Again, I've been blessed. Again, like you described it. I mean, it's just you give me a book, I read it, I got it. And
Yeah.
but I think a lot of people are not that way. That's one of the things, when I first met you, when we got to go to dinner and just talking, you start describing your classes. I'm like, I called Lisa on the way home.
Yes. Oh, he did. He totally called me after he met with you.
Found a new BFF. I'm like, this dude is like wicked smart.
Yeah.
But more importantly, I said, he thinks like I do. He was not traditional, not just PowerPoint lectures and just describing the hands-on stuff. And I'm like, okay, when we get back home, we have to meet this guy because this is really cool.
Yeah.
And then we had the pleasure of coming to one of your first classes, just to sit in as a student on one of your flight classes. And I'm like, oh, this is great. I mean, the stuff that people are learning, the presentations, the hands-on skills, but even just the interaction between the students was really cool because they were from all over the state. And the last one that we were at, they were all over the world. We had a couple different countries represented.
Yeah.
But it didn't matter if you were a doc or a, straight out of school medic. Everybody was getting the same material. Everybody just hung out and did it. And it was really, really well done.
I absolutely loved how Lisa did the the heart education. It was actually after class.
Oh my gosh.
I really feel like you're gonna have to come back and teach me how to do that.
Love to do that. And the only reason I became a cardiac geek was because
porcine cardiac surgeon.
Yes. Oh yeah, that's what my daughter was calling me for.
What?
Like
the porcine cardiac surgeon.
One more time.
Porcine, so a pig, cardiac surgeon.
It sounds better to say porcine. It looks better on the business.
Right, yeah, it looks way better on the business
on the
card.
name badge.
President and porcine cardiac surgeon. Yeah, so, but it all started because we used to what was it, like 15 plus years ago, we wanted to do more hands-on stuff. I nagged Scott forever. I'm like, we really, let's do more hands-on. So we decided we were going to do our very first pig lab. Now, God bless anybody. Yes. At this moment, yes. That goes to do their very first pig. Yes. Yeah. Like, because it was like the worst.
It's
the best
right
in the
here.
worst. Yes. Because if you do something wrong when it bad. Yeah, right.
I don't know.
Yeah, Trisha's knowing it, right. Because anybody who's done it knows how bad this can go or how good it can go.
Mm-hmm.
So for years, I had been nagging. Finally, he gave in. He's like, all right, we're going to try to do this. And so we started doing these labs. And at that point, I knew nothing. I'm like, what the heck are we looking at? You remember the first time they jump one of those plucks on the table? You're like, what the? You don't know what you're looking at. What the pluck is really. Yeah, exactly. Like, what is that? So, and for those of you who don't know, if you are going to do a pediatric or not any kind of lab, you would want a pluck. So that's what he is referring to.
Yes.
It's the trachea, the lungs, the heart. So if you don't know,
Exactly.
what is he talking
That's
about?
some farm talk.
That's some farm talk.
Yeah.
There.
How to translate pluck into Spanish.
What does it translate?
Oh, it's hard to say. Like I had to.
Suerte.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's what it is.
Suerte.
But does it mean the same thing?
Suerte.
Yeah.
Luck.
Yeah,
Tienes mucha suerte. You have a lot of luck.
yeah. Pluck.
What?
Pluck.
Pluck.
That's different.
Pluck.
Pluck.
Oh,
P.
pluck.
Yeah, pluck with the
Pero
P.
como se dice
Yeah.
dead pig?
Yeah, right. Yeah, you say dead.
So the guy.
There's a joke.
Oh, he's waiting for it. Wait, we'll wait for it. We're gonna
Oh my God.
Goddamn Mexicans.
Gauntlet has been thrown.
Yeah.
wait. There it is.
Challenge
So pluck.
accepted.
Yeah, so
Round one.
yeah.
Fight.
'Cause our guy was Mexican. So you're trying to explain that shit to him? He don't understand what I'm talking about.
¿Qué?
Yeah.
Okay.
He showed up at the wrong parts a few times.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh,
yeah.
right? Yeah, and we went through all of those same things where like just anything that can, that
Could go wrong.
does go
Yep.
wrong.
Mm.
And that's why anytime I hear anybody saying, "Oh, we're," because they come to one of our labs and all like us,
Yeah.
you guys know we make it look easy because we've done it and made every mistake you could
Oh,
possibly
absolutely.
make. So when
sounds
they're
like
like, "Oh, we're
podcasting.
gonna do this ourselves," we're like,
Yeah. Good luck.
In the desert.
yeah, oh yeah, including the. Did we ever tell you that story where
Nah.
Which one?
we were teaching out in California, and so we decided we were gonna, for the first time, we were gonna ship the
Oh
pig parts.
yes.
Who's
We
You
were gonna
did.
ship them, and so for whatever
Didn't work out
reason,
well.
it did not go well. This was in the very.
Were you
This was the
jumping the
first
fence?
year. It was
Something
not
like that?
no,
Oh,
it wasn't
no.
that one. No,
Okay.
so it was we shipped the pig parts to California, and for whatever reason, the manager of the hotel put them outside.
Oh no.
Ooh.
It was the Mojave Desert.
Oh.
Yes.
You had chicharrón by the end of the day.
These are not.
So-
These are fresh ones.
Oh, so bad.
No.
It was just.
Oh, no, I can
Really loud.
imagine.
Yeah, we so Scott, he's like, what do I do? I'm like, take him to the room and put him in the bathtub and start hosing him down.
Oh my god.
Cause like what He's on the phone and all I hear is, Mr. DeBoer, there's a smell coming from your room that the guests are complaining about.
It was,
Scott's like, what do I do? Don't answer the door. Don't answer the door.
it was straight out of like Dexter.
Oh my god.
Because the hotel, the bathtub was filled with pig parts. I had gone to Home Depot to pick up some kill 'em all liquid. So they're floating in this green liquid.
Oh
The
no.
man is going on the door. I'm like, if I would have opened the door, I would have been in
I'm
jail.
probably arrested. Yes, literally.
Oh, no.
But yet you still, as you know, I mean, the show must
Must
go
go
on.
on.
It
do it.
absolutely has to.
You still have to teach the next day. So I still had to do a pig lab the next day with floating in the bathtub pig
Yeah,
parts.
so once the
Yeah.
manager left, he was going and getting buckets of ice and throwing them on the pig so that he'd have something to use the next day. So, and the show went on. He went and he
Just casually, we laid out the pig parts and stopped by again and picked up a whole lot of Febreze.
Yeah.
And
And
candles.
As
Candles are
doing
great.
the intro, I'm just casually walking around and spraying. And as they cut
Oh, yeah.
open something, I'm spraying, and then I'm spraying a little more. And
Yeah.
Oddly, we've never been invited back to that hospital.
yeah, pretty much every hospital we've ever, or EMS agency we've worked at, happily, we've been able to come back.
Come back. Oh, yes, we always get invited
Except
back.
for
That one. That was one of the very first ones, and but we didn't give up. We figured out where we went wrong, and we made corrections.
Yeah.
And now we got that stuff down cold.
It's
so,
crazy because people will ask, they make it seems pretty easy with y'all. You can do this, and I'm like,
Yeah, go
"You
ahead.
can't."
Yes.
I said,
That's it.
Go for it.
you've never cleaned dead man out of the back of. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Like,
yes.
like
if I had $1 for every time somebody told me I've never cleaned dead man out of
Yeah.
my bed before.
listen, the best story about that is we had a dude that like apparently we learned pretty quickly you can't like defrost a cadaver
Oh.
and then refreeze them and try to use them again. You
You got 86
You
that.
Never done the
Because-
cadaver, so
because
we
they
enlighten
are
us.
they're
No.
like
Well, I'll
flash,
tell you, you can't do that.
they're flash frozen like vegetables.
Oh.
So like once the nitrogen
Starts-
once they defrost
Oh yeah,
they
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 decay.
freeze back
quick.
up, but they're decaying as they're frozen.
Oh.
I'm gonna
So-
say that, like, when I did pull this body out of the freezer, and it was
Do we have any disclaimers on
say,
this
does something
podcast?
need to be-
Or
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
So when I did pull this body out, and I was like, it doesn't really smell that good.
No, no.
Like
Oh.
there is a smell, and he's like, "Yeah, it'll be fine."
So when we go to use it, the dude, like I had him in the back of the van.
Where
where
you're
we
teaching,
were.
yeah.
And like I hit on the brake really hard, and the box moved,
Uh-huh.
and the man went all like literally
Oh,
Everywhere.
God.
all over the back of this van.
Everywhere.
Destroyed an Oakley backpack, which I loved, and which we had to throw away because you can't dead
No,
man
that
that.
smell, that's never going
But the
away.
best thing is that Robbie was a teacher with that day. He told me, Robbie goes, "Yeah, we can't use him. He looks like a corpse, not a cadaver." That's what he says. He looks like a corpse, not a cadaver. I'm like,
Okay.
I'm like, we can't.
Class is canceled.
Yeah.
So did you end up
Did you somehow
canceling?
pull it off?
Oh, well, we told that class, like, listen, you're gonna have to come back to one of our other classes when
Okay.
we do this again.
Yeah, and they all came back. I mean, they all
Yeah,
came back to class. Now these are people we can't get rid of. 'Cause
Yeah,
now
they also
take
are
it-
people
they're-
we can't.
Yeah.
yeah, they're here. Some of them work here.
They understood your pain.
One of them is probably listening right now, Leah.
She might.
Yeah. So but it's crazy. Yeah, that thing spoiled like crazy. So yeah, they
Oh my gosh.
yeah, they learned our lesson.
Yeah. We've never done cadaver, so that's
Yeah.
we've only ever.
But
worked with big parts,
the
but-
coolest
Can't
thing,
refreeze them.
the thing that Trisha was saying is we did after one of our cadaver labs, we pulled the hearts out.
Mhm.
They pulled the heart out, and you went like
You
side
walked
by
us
side,
through.
Oh yes.
Side
It
by
was
side.
fantastic.
side by side on the
Yeah.
heart.
She
Like
loves that stuff.
it is.
me
I got
too.
goosebumps right now. Amazing.
Thank you.
Yep.
Carlos,
Yes.
have you ever pulled out a heart from a cadaver and just said Kalima?
No.
Before it exploded in flames.
Yeah. Yeah. Little Indiana Jones reference for you millennials.
We
out
don't talk
there.
about Crystal Skull.
We don't talk about Crystal Skull.
There it is.
Yeah. You found a buddy.
So that came about with was a long way to get to that story. So back in the early years when we first started doing nothing of the heart, he like basic stuff, and so here and I knew
She just
less-
called you vanilla.
No, vanilla. It was like he had
I
all
don't
the
shit about
other
it.
stuff,
Huh?
but
I'm
feel it.
pediatric, please.
yeah. So like
Air goes
they're
through mouth,
fine.
blood
like
goes
why
around the
aren't
mouth.
we
It's not
why
that
aren't we
hard.
doing more I'm like why aren't we doing more with the heart? There's a lot there. So this is like again 12 15 years ago. It's a long time. And he's like, well, we'll let him play with it on the next time. So then
That's what
I
I say all
hear
the
that
time.
right
all the
we'll let him play.
time.
Yeah. So
all the time.
we'll just-
Every single time I hear
I
that.
don't even
We'll
want to
let
talk
him-
about that, baby.
All right.
We got
We'll talk
counsel.
about that next time.
Yeah.
So yeah. So
Sure.
anyway, so now he's like, let's just give him time to play. So 20 minutes. So 20 minutes. He's like, we'll just okay, go ahead. You can cut into the heart and just look at everything. And if it goes to the lungs, it's probably pulmonary something. This was literally how we taught it. Like in the very beginning, it's probably pulmonary something. Rather, like you had this little like 2-minute thing, and he let people play, and then they're asking me questions, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm like, I don't know, I have no idea. So it was the worst 20 minutes of my life.
Oh,
It
it's
lasted
anxiety.
forever.
Yeah. It's
Yes,
like-
because I knew nothing. So then I like, okay, obviously he's not interested, but it's so cool. How could he not be interested? So I started looking into and doing research and talking to people and videos and books and, any place I could learn anything cardiac, that I was just all over it. And so that's where the whole thing came about recently, because I started that 20 minutes is now a 2-hour class.
It's on
Yeah,
real.
it's
So,
phenomenal.
Thank you.
Real
It's
quick for like
so
the
fun.
people that are out there live, we're just gonna tell you like, hey, you want to listen to the rest of this? Well, listen to the recording because
Oh, did we already go over a time?
Well, we,
For
we,
live,
we,
for
for
live.
live. Yeah,
For
with
live.
Miss Jody yells at me. when
Yeah.
we go.
Ooh, wrong song.
Yeah.
We got this time.
So I'm ending the live feed in 3, 2, rescue.
Bye bye.
I mean,
Bye,
as the
everybody.
rotorturns.com, guys. Check.
Yeah.